Woo! Hey,
episode 15 coming at you. Had a couple weeks there where we were fell off the cadence, so we wanted to get back into the saddle. But in true cowboy fashion, we're whipping up something new and keeping things fresh. So this episode we kind of just were spitballing before this, and we decided we wanted to do one about TV pilots, pilot episodes that are, I don't know if everyone is familiar with it. Maybe I'll let you kind of give us the sort of textbook definition of what is a pilot.
And I apologize to those of you who know what this is, and I don't want to waste your time. Yeah, make it fast.
Some of us might not. So is my mic okay, by the way?
It does sound.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Do you need to be louder? I don't need to be that loud.
Wait, can I do my Batman? Can I do my Batman voice real quick?
I don't think I can stop you.
Because I do think this is a pretty good mic for it.
And
to be clear, this is Christian Bale Batman, like the Nolan Batman.
So should we
trilogy.
just put a pin in me explaining what this
Let's just put a pin in that
episode is about
really quick, because I want to do this because I've been doing it recently.
Stopping him.
Oh, I think you want to hear it. I know you do. Okay. Because I just rewatched The Dark Knight recently. Harvey Dent. Harvey was the White Knight Gotham deserved. I can take the Joker needs to be brought down. Tonight, this city showed you who they really are. You'll be surprised to find that nobody on those ferries is going to hit the button. Gotham needs a hero. I will run. Harvey Dent can be the hero we deserve. Oh, I'm out of breath.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of when you do that is a grown-up version of the next door neighbor in Malcolm in the Middle. The kid who had asthma. It kind of hurt my head. I don't know how Christian Bale did that, take after take. I'm not wearing hockey pants. Remember? I don't.
In the beginning when those guys are like impersonators and he kind of puts them down. And they're like, well, why do you get to run around? He's like, I'm not wearing hockey pants.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, sorry. I got that out of my system.
So pilots, a pilot episode, if a production company comes up with an idea for a new series and they green light it and they're going to spend X amount of money, X amount of dollars, shooting a pilot episode, which is basically a sample to show to the networks, this is what the show is going to be like. And back in the day, the networks would order 30 pilots for maybe 4 slots.
Right.
Now that I don't know what they're doing now, if at all.
But
anyways, they would pick the ones that they liked, and the other ones went into the, Never Land.
And pilot comes from like pilot testing something to be pilot. This is a sort of provisional beta version of something. So, again, it's kind of a term that I feel like colloquially a lot of people know, like myself included. And obviously, I grew up around you working in TV, so I probably had a better understanding of it. But it is kind of thrown around, at least like in the common parlance of TV lore of like, oh, that was the pilot, the first episode. I think sometimes mistakenly it's like conflated with what the first epised is, but
it often is the first.
It is becoming. But what we're defining specifically is like shows that went into production, had a pilot episode, sometimes maybe even got like a soft green light, but then the plug was pulled for whatever reason. So I guess again, this predates my era and even yours in some way, because I feel like
mine. No, I worked on a lot of pilots.
No, but I mean, I feel like by the time, I don't know, was it winding down? Like what is the scope of it?
I think I'll tell you what the big drop off happened after COVID.
Really?
Yeah, because I remember I had been working in New York, and the post production producer that I was working with, we were chatting, the year later after COVID, and just kind of keeping up with each other. And he said that Warner Brothers had ordered, this is just Warner Brothers, I think the previous season, like 30 pilots.
What?
And the season, the post coming out of COVID, they ordered 10.
Okay. Wait, the more fascinating thing
in like 2 years.
That's wild. I didn't really have insight into that. And I mean, it is, as far as like just the economics of television and streaming work, like I guess it is the type of thing like in a business model that used to be predicated on like, your time slot and ad dollars and sponsor support. Like pilots kind of made sense because the networks had they were kind of like an assembly line where they were like, we have talent, and maybe there's a producer or a writer we can audition some options together. Like, let's put so and so in this package.
Have an overall deal with the network, and then they let them pick something.
Yeah,
or they may say, we think these 2 or 3 things would be good for you.
Yeah,
and somehow it would come together like that. But inevitably, it's always like at the last minute. The pilots got picked up at the last minute. They had to be delivered by a certain date for the networks to then make their decision. So they end up being rushed. It was so counterintuitive to me. I've worked on a bunch of them, and it's like you're barely getting it. The paint's not dry before you're having to deliver it to the network. I mean, just for instance, the shortest turnaround I worked on was the CSI pilot, which was 3 weeks from first day of production to delivery.
That's insane.
So that's
really
not
fast.
A lot of time.
And at the time, I mean, there's directors who were often seen as sort of like pilot directors.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like they were sort of on call to be like, they're the guys that can set the tone, set the template. I guess the scope of this episode, to kind of give you some context, is that we wanted to do something that related to TV history. We wanted to do something that related to sort of the
ephemera of Hollywood, but where things just seem to go away.
I was going to say thousands, probably up in more than hundreds of thousands.
You think about how many TV for every show,
for every decade of television,
a bucket load of pilots.
The hundreds of thousands of shows that never actually saw the light of day and are just unaired pilots.
We were talking about this morning. I remember it's probably 15 or 20 years ago. Somebody had come up with the idea it was when cable was like blowing up. So it's no longer than that, of having the pilot channel, kind of like they have the game show channel, that would just run pilots.
Just pilots that never got picked up.
It's just all the rights and music and the actors.
Of course.
It's like they just gave up.
When do they?
But it would have been kind of cool.
It's so crazy.
A lot of pilots were really good.
Yeah.
Better than the shows that got picked up in front of them.
Well, let's talk about some of the ones you worked on, because I remember quite fondly a lot of the shows that you were cutting on prior to CSI. And obviously, you were fortunate enough to work on like a lot of very long-running series, which was, that was
my routine for a few years was I was on a show that was going to come back, and I'd cut a pilot
in between
in the hiatus.
Yeah, and was there? I guess I'm more interested in, again, sort of maybe the nuts and bolts before we dive into specifics. But like,
it's less about the shows than the process.
Pilot season ran a very specific kind of.
Well, it got shorter because I do remember being able to finish a season on a show and then go right on to a pilot. And then it got to be where, you had to sort of bow out, maybe not do your last episode if everybody was cool.
Right.
Keep who would have been first off stays on to do that one. And then I would scoot off to do a pilot.
Yeah.
Because it got more and more compressed. You almost had to be done with the pilot when the regular TV season was ending.
What?
Which also makes sense to me because the longer lead time you have to put the show together once they're picked up.
Okay. So pilot episodes of television series. If you're just tuning in now and you're late to the show, we're talking about.
You go back to the podcast.
No, you can't scrub back. You got to keep listening. TV pilots are essentially sort of beta versions of a series that a network orders. It used to be in bulk throughout a regular TV season.
Had they were making money.
This idea, a comedy, a drama, this, a that, a sci-fi. Let's try them all out.
Yeah, what was hot? What was hot on NBC last year? Let's do our version.
Yeah,
of that.
It's a lot of that, right?
Yeah.
And then,
some good shows came out of that. St. Elsewhere was basically the Hill Street Blues set in a hospital.
Right.
The next year, same production company, but
repeat the success.
Really good show.
Down to a formula.
Well, or just that, that idea. Yeah. And that kind of has stuck around, oddly. That sort of work family thing has become...
for sure.
So, especially CBS
bread and butter.
World.
It's medical drama, work family. But now it's just direct to series. Like you get a order for 6 or 7 episodes versus a TV season. Again, some of this gets back to the economics.
It's streaming now too,
right?
So it's a different.
Streaming seasons are much shorter, whereas a network TV series in peak network television era would have run 24 episodes for a season. Correct.
But you would not have been picked up for that. They'd usually, if they picked up a show, it'd be like for 12 episodes.
Yeah.
So everybody's holding their breath,
right,
until you get that pick. Then you're picked up for the rest of the year, and then
not to get even more in the weeds, but I'm revisiting the Rockford Files, which I never really saw.
We started watching more after watching the one with you.
Yeah, and it's funny because that, according to you and Tam, it was part of the very unique sort of NBC Sunday night carousel. They called it the wheel. So it wasn't necessarily like a full TV season because each week was an alternating.
There were 3 shows. I think it was Rockford Files, McCloud,
Columbo. Yeah.
Maybe Name of the Game, or maybe there were 2 different wheels on different networks. So they would rotate. Like it would, let's say I'm just pulling a night out of my ass, Sunday night at 9. One week it would be Columbo, the next week it would be Rockford Files, and the week after that, McCloud.
Yeah.
And then it would go back to the beginning. So they weren't making 22 shows. What that afforded them was more time to write.
Yeah. Right. And just get, hone in on what the vision was.
And I'm not sure how that worked with crews. This is a question I'd love to ask my dad because he did a couple of those.
Right.
Like, did you
share?
Was it the same crew or
same gaffer across all those?
Everybody only work?
Yeah. I wonder.
Half a season, which would suck if you were.
But it's also the type of thing that allows them to, like, those become little TV movies in a way.
Yeah.
And they do kind of play like features where they're self-contained. I mean, I haven't gotten deep enough yet into Rockford to see if there's any sort of like through line, but they all seem pretty independent in terms of like you could just start and come to one and
that,
you don't
which is why they're probably still rerunning.
Yeah,
It
even
shows like
Columbo's definitely of that ilk where it's just like
it's a case of the week.
Case of the week, yeah, which is helpful because that kind of keeps it more evergreen.
Yeah, and that's why they do well in syndication, those kind of shows.
Yeah, because you don't need to have some knowledge
just
of the
tune
lore.
in on any random episode. Exactly.
Do you think we've lost that in our culture, or is there just less appetite for that? Because I would say, by and large, it seems, at least, again, this is more anecdotal to what I think I hear people expressing enjoyment or satisfaction with, is a sort of continuity and a through line and a building arc. And it's like, yes, that's cool. And there's some great shows that have that sort of structure where things ladder up. And, I'm thinking of like Breaking Bad, Vince Gilligan, like there's callbacks to season 1 and moments that are so specific that if you weren't watching the show and invested in it from day one, you wouldn't really know. Right. But the beauty of like a Columbo or Rockford Files or even like a Dr. Kildare or something, early TV, Twilight Zone, was that it was anthology. It was a little more isolated.
Those were
that's
total
unique
standalones. Yeah.
But again, with a character that's continuous like a Rockford or Columbo, like each week is a different thing. Right. But you don't need to know what happened.
As a viewer, there's an even in shows like that are standalone episodes. Yeah. There's a comfort in getting to know the characters. And
of course.
That's appealing. But, not knowing them, you could tune into a Rockford Files and it's, it's a 1 hour or whatever.
And that's how I felt picking it up. I was like, oh, this is instantly familiar because I know of its place in the culture and obviously James Garner being who he is and, et cetera. But yeah, it is kind of like, there's something very comforting about that. And I feel like, I don't know what I'm trying to get at, but it does feel like the economics in part changed with the times necessarily, but like the system that would have produced a show like that is just gone now. And it's like you're getting way more bespoke, sort of like self-contained.
Which came with streaming and, the BBC's always done that. They never had long although there are shows that have run forever. Doctor Who continuous, but new character but their
or new actor.
Stuff was, they were limited, what we would call a limited series.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said for that too. But, as a worker in the film industry, you got to now, instead of only having to kind of get 2 jobs, maybe one season and something over the break, now you need 2 shows. Yeah. For the same amount of work.
Right.
I don't know. That it's part of the
we're
also trying to figure out where the industry's going.
I know. I mean, do you think too, with pilots going the way of the dinosaur and sort of drying up, like that stat you just read me post-COVID of like the significant drop off, like, yes, it still happens. And yes, there is very much the need on a macro level for studios to kind of like stress test or trial run something and be like, well, we got to make sure this works before we put it to air. But it feels like that's happening way less because the type of buys they're making are so specific, where they're like, we're taking the 2 co-creators of Game of Thrones and giving them an overall deal. Anything they produce will greenlight. Anything outside of that realm, we're not. I mean, that's just one out of my hat that I'm pulling.
It's not just television. Think about, sports, everything. It's about, with the metrics that they have now.
They're super dialed into.
Who really knows what? Yeah, I know I get emails going, "Hey, did you want from Netflix asking me if I wanted to finish watching something?" It's like,
and you go, "What the hell?
How do you know I turned it off?" But of course they know.
Of course they know.
It's a two-way street. So they have way more information than they did back in the day because it was all based on, it was
Nielsen ratings.
Yeah, but then you have to extrapolate that out. Like, is it really 20 million households? Maybe it isn't.
Okay, so let's get into that. The Nielsen ratings, do they still exist? What did they determine?
Back in the day, that you literally, if you were a Nielsen home, they gave you a log.
Leslie Nielsen would come and sit with you.
If you lived in the
you just watch stuff with Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah. No, they would. You'd get like a diary.
Oh,
if you were chosen to be a Nielsen family, and you had to fill it out, everything you watched every week.
What?
That's how they kept track.
It was that archaic?
Was the earliest, yeah.
Like the earliest form of tracking and stats and quant in TV.
They tried to get a sample size that was representative
of like a given neighborhood
section of the country. And then I know they did test screenings and sometimes of an episode if they were introducing a new character. And
be like, how did you like this character?
That
kind of market test.
That's another issue. Is like,
yeah,
they've started relying on that to the point where like, that other actor was better.
Yeah.
20 people that were in a screening that maybe
were
the majority of them by one didn't like
one of them might have been hungry and wanted to get out of there. Like, yeah. Okay. So
that leads us to
the real reason why we're actually delving into this is that the other day I was just kind of scrolling through the internet and looking at old archival photos as I like to do, and found one of a building that's on right off Sunset, West Hollywood. It's now called Harmony Gold. It's like a screening theater, but it used to be called the Preview House. Yeah. And so I found a bunch of photos of it.
I have no idea how I remember.
Yeah.
Danny sent me this picture and I went, I think that was the Preview House.
Yeah, I took a picture of it current day because I had to go drop something off at like a FedEx around there. And I was like, do you remember Harmony Gold? Like, what was this building? Because it's kind of a cool modernist building. You did. Somewhere. And you were like, I think that place used to be called the Preview House where they would show pilots. And I looked it up, and lo and behold, you were correct.
And they would just get like tourists off the street to come in and watch them.
I found all these old newspaper articles, like a bulk of which were in the 70s and 80s, kind of saying what you're talking about now, or what I think you were getting at, which was like our networks over relying on market testing because that whole place ran on.
That was the beginning of all that. Yeah, they
would pass out things to people on the street, be like, hey, whoever, you want to come in on your lunch break and watch this? Like, we're trying to get.
What the fucking kind of an audience
I know.
Is that?
Or they would cold call. Like, I know one of the articles I'd skimmed. I didn't read it from front to back, but it was like about a guy in like Arcadia who him and his wife got called to go do something because they tried to get sample sizes of different
I remember people approaching me different parts of town. But I was working in the industry and you couldn't.
And they advertised. There's a bunch of old newspaper clippings of like.
If you worked, you couldn't go. You couldn't go if you worked in the industry.
It's like the way they do market testing now too. If you were like called upon anonymously to review a camera, you probably get disqualified because you work in.
If you work
media.
for Canon,
you
exactly. Can't review the Nike camera. But
did you ever go see anything at Preview House?
Well, I was honest, and I think I saw something there before when I was still a teenager.
Yeah, it's a cool building. That's what
and it's
actually
a small screening room, and then I don't know. The rest of it's probably a bunch of nowadays too. We have to just to close the loop on what they're doing, or at least what they were doing up until maybe when they kind of stopped doing this.
Yeah,
but they were like literally wiring people because we had data from some shows that I worked on where they were testing an episode that had a new character, and I mean they knew like second to second how people's attentions. It's weird. It was creepy, and also. Kind of pointless, I thought. It was overkill.
Yeah, at a certain point, it's like it's the science behind it. You can't really get you to a better product because so much of what makes something good is like the peculiar alchemy of like star and talent.
Well, think of shows that became huge hits that like did not do like Hill Street Blues was a flop.
Yeah. In testing, yeah.
Right,
but critically acclaimed.
They left it on the air, and then it won a buttload of Emmys and became a hit. The audience found it.
A watershed moment in TV history in that it kind of ushered in this more adult era of
I think that
just like
that show
mature,
in particular, and also the filmmaking that was a big step
the
up.
Chops.
Which is what struck me as kind of odd watching like Rockford Files because it was the 70s, but they look so bad. I hate to say that.
Well, they were in a pinch. It feels like they're always rushing.
Didn't want to spend a lot of money, and they
zoom lenses.
And it was, it was television, so it's like, it's going to be on TV. The lighting was flat.
Yeah.
But because they clearly could make cool-looking movies with the same equipment.
Yeah.
And it was all the same stuff.
It's just
for
time.
TV.
Time is the crucial ingredient there. More than money in that case. It's more
I don't know I'd love to know. Maybe you could find out like
some of the chases.
How many days they had back then.
On Rockford?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
They
do crazy car chases in it, though. They do.
Yeah, but a lot of that stuff's second unit, and they weren't that.
Yeah, I know, you're right. That one we watched was
They'd
pretty
go around
bad.
the block, and
They go over the same little. You're like, oh,
I think I recognize.
Really
that.
kind of milking it for time. They're really trying to stretch out those moments. You brought up something though that made me think of something else in
Back
regards
in the preview house or people being wired.
Yeah, maybe the wiring thing. In regards to the way TV works.
Well, now with lookbooks and previs stuff, I think that's the other reason they're not doing as many pilots because you can give somebody a pretty good idea what the show's going to look like.
Oh, true. Yeah. And
which was harder back then. You could show some
someone could say something around
something, but now you can do a whole vibey music and do a whole presentation.
I know it's kind of like when George Lucas was selling Star Wars and like kept feeling like he had to bring in illustrations and
because they couldn't.
Because I mean that is probably definition of something that needs to be seen rather than read. But it is interesting. And the list of unproduced pilots, I mean, there's a great Wikipedia stub that just kind of has
good scripts that never got greenlit.
Yeah,
but there's get to the pilot.
Also just some wild concepts. Like I remember, I check this thing every once in a while because I imagine it's probably updated by sort of the citizen archivists of the web, but Wikipedia has a running list, chronological order of unproduced pilots over the years by network and by year. And there's some really funny ones. And some of them are floating around on YouTube and there's really low res copies of them out there on Internet Archive. And
these are ones that got made.
These are ones that got made and maybe just never saw the light of day, or as you can probably attest, maybe aired one or two and then were just canceled. Like, cause that happened too, where they're just like, we're done.
Right after you were born, I was on a show that was like a can't miss.
Yeah.
Never pay attention to that. And it missed.
What was it?
It was a show called Peaceable Kingdom about
with Lindsay Wagner.
And it was back in the day when there was a big push for family television.
Yeah.
She was a single mom that was a zookeeper. She had the highest TVQ rating of any actor at the time.
She's in a Rockford.
Was his popularity.
Mm-hmm.
And how's that show not going to run for 10 years like Little House on the Prairie?
Yeah.
It didn't.
It got canceled.
You were newborn and got canceled right before Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Oh, wow.
Right in the middle of an episode, which they didn't even finish shooting.
What?
They just literally pulled the plug.
Oh, wow.
So that does happen.
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, again, it just speaks to like you can engineer something that you think is going to be perfect and a hit and still fail 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
There's always an element. There's an element of unexpected sort of. It's just the magic that happens when you get certain people together or hit a moment in the culture that works. I don't know.
Let me ask you a question about this.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, there were shows that got on the air. And I always wonder how much pot these people were smoking in the writer's room. There was a show called My Mother, the Car.
And that was just what it sounds.
The story was that his mother, who had passed away, was reincarnated as an old car radio.
Okay.
And he would talk to her out in the garage. And she would give him motherly advice.
Just like,
who thinks of that?
Yeah. It's like Mr. Ed.
I watched it, though. Yeah, like Mr. Ed. That's another one.
Yeah, it's another one. Talking Horse. Yeah. There was maybe a sort of trend there that I imagine there was no drugs involved whatsoever, but a lot of network
booze.
Executives probably going, how do we make the thing that's going to be like Mr. Ed, but, a car? That's how those things start.
After a 3-martini lunch, a talking car starts sounding, that could be pretty good.
You don't get those anymore because now it's all, I mean, again, these are broad statements, but I do think in general it's the trend towards streaming limited series that are based on existing IP, whether that be a book that did really well or this or that.
Yeah.
Or thinking even that Alfonso Cuarón Apple TV one with Cate Blanchett, which was immaculately made in terms of its production value, but I have trouble seeing why it was warranted in terms of like what it was giving us. It was like a galley manuscript copy of a book that had yet to be published that he and his agent read and made a 12-part series out of. It's like really impressive, but I'm like, what is this? I don't quite know. It's funny to me though, because it feels much more now that things are it's like if you can come with this sort of like aura of prestige, like, oh, we're basing it on this book that did really well, or like this like series of novels or this or that. you had TV shows back in the day that were just guy talks to his car in the garage.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So where's that? Where'd those go?
Think about,
I want those. And guy talks to his.
It was Jerry Van Dyke was the.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We should watch some of those.
Not Dick, but his brother Jerry.
I'm going to pull up this Wikipedia stub of
Yeah, I would love to hear that.
Pilots,
also, I'm curious to see. I want to grab my little book of movie terms, which I love.
Oh yeah.
See how they list pilot.
Do you want to grab that real quick while I pull this up? We can just keep it running.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. You read the definition of pilot episodes.
It'll probably be pretty basic, but this thing, by the way, Tony Bill, one of my a wonderful actor and producer, had been an actor since he was a kid and collected. He loved all the kind of movie speak, which is what the book's called. And so did I. And so when I found this, I thought, this is great. And stuff that I'd heard and wasn't sure if it was really somebody just was bullshitting me, if it was real, it's in here, and it's pretty complete.
It is.
Let me find
read the pilot. Maybe you have pilot in there.
I'm sure it's in here. Oh, maybe it's not in here.
Do you want me to read it? Well, because
it
kind of falls out of the purview of like set lingo.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. This is all stuff you'd say on the set.
A television pilot, also known as a pilot or pilot episode, is a standalone episode of a television series that is used to sell a show to a television network or other distributor. Pilot is created to be a testing
prototype.
Ground. Yeah. Testing ground to gauge whether a series will be successful. It's therefore a test episode for the intended TV series, an early step in the series development, much like pilot studies serve as precursors to the start of larger activity. So, yeah. Oh, a backdoor pilot is an episode of an existing series.
Yeah, I did a bunch of those.
That heavily features supporting characters or guest stars in previously unseen roles that will then result in a spinoff, like CSI Miami, CSI New York.
CSI Miami was our team.
I like
went to
backdoor
Miami.
pilot.
Yeah. Well, you know why they did that?
I'm not the pilot director. I do the backdoor pilots.
You know why they did that, though? Then it's cheap.
Then they're like, we just get the cost of the thing.
Just the actor, and then like maybe in like the Miami case, it's like they went to Miami to shoot some of it.
Yeah, this is a pretty deep Wikipedia stuff.
They didn't have to make an episode. They could see how it did. Audiences respond.
There's a deep list here. It's going to be hard to go through all of them. And also this feels like...
The other thing, Dan, before we get past backdoor pilot, is that a lot of those sometimes would be like maybe a 2-hour movie that would air in the summer.
Right.
And if people liked it, that became the series. But it would be a closed loop in terms of what the episode was.
Right, like they didn't leave it open-ended knowing that if it didn't work.
It ended, but if it worked...
People had an appetite.
That's...
there was one I stumbled across... I remember for some other project, I think it was about Century City, which we could do a whole episode about, just the way that's changed and the way it used to be the Fox backlot.
Yeah, got sold off. That land.
Yeah. Conquest of the Planet of the Apes takes place in the newly...
That's the future.
Exactly.
Century. I remember going, hey,
you're like, wait, I didn't see any apes? A hot dog on a stick over there?
Yeah, I didn't see any apes.
But anyway, Century City, there was a pilot, it went to series and then got canceled after a few episodes where it was like, legal drama, either there was someone big was behind it, and the idea was that it was lawyers in the future, and it was called Century City.
Get out of here!
It was kind of this
futuristic lawyers
pilot of like futuristic lawyers in Century City.
Why aren't they doing
cars.
that now? That would be interesting.
Future lawyers, yeah, in Century City. It's a really I think it was played straight.
Century City now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the
something
Jetsons,
else.
But lawyers. What kind
Jets and lawyers. Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer. Phil Hartman.
Hey, that's one of the most brilliant comedy ideas he ever did. That and Tonto, Frankenstein,
and Colon Blow, the fake ad, Colon
Blow.
But yeah, let's talk about, because I remember, again, this was where we started. I got off track, and
don't we always?
My fault. Yeah, but it's fun. You worked on some great pilots, and
that didn't get picked up.
Me, Claire, and Colin all remember fondly because of like, specifically soundtracks that were used or early cuts we saw, and we're like, that's so cool. And then never.
It's one in particular.
Dodge's City is the one I want to start with, but you obviously have a longer list, and I would love to kind of.
Yeah, well, that one, though, I totally see why you guys were into it, and so was I, because it was a co-production.
The rundown, title, when you worked on it, like what the, like
99?
Like the beat sheet.
Is that right? Because
probably, yeah.
Because
it was after MYOB.
Yeah.
Mind your own business.
And it was because I went on to CSI after. Oh no, you're right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm confused. Somewhere right around the turn of the millennia.
Yeah,
millennia.
Oh, it must have been after Austin Powers, though, because I remember MTV Films briefly lived was like helping produce this pilot, and someone from MTV Films had seen The Spy Who Shagged Me, Austin Powers 2.
Yeah.
So if we were talking about that in that era, it would have been between 97, 99.
2000. Yeah.
Yeah.
End of the 90s.
Yeah.
And that was fun because it was a co-production with MTV. And so I remember there was this a woman that worked for MTV who was really cool and was going to be our liaison for music.
Yeah.
And she was just so low key and brought this big box of all these CDs and things that hadn't even been released yet that we could pick through. And then we found out later she was like head of music at MTV.
Wow. That's awesome. Do you remember her name?
She's
probably still in the industry somewhere. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I'm sure I still have my paperwork somewhere on my computer. But anyways, we had just the pick of the litter with every new cool thing.
It being a sort of MTV co-production.
Yeah, it's going to have a lot of music.
They wanted to make sure that they had good needle drops.
And we did, as you know.
I do. Well, that soundtrack.
We made a CD of it.
We rinsed that so hard. Like me, Colin, and Claire, I remember in the sort of portable Discman, Walkman era, like you had burned copies of the soundtrack, and it's got Offspring. It had that crazy song by the Low Fidelity All Stars, which is crazy. The first time I remember
Battle Flag.
Yeah, hearing the F word in a song and being like, oh my god. So
that was a big thing. That song. Was like,
because it's explicit.
Yeah. People didn't want to use it.
And I remember it being used over the end in a big shootout.
It was a big long. It was because it's a long track. Yeah. And Ken Senzel, who's a really cool guy, was the writer director, and who made. Yeah.
What was the premise of the show? It was kind of like a Rockford.
It was like a teenage detective.
Yeah. He was like
Eric Zamanda,
Private Eye.
Who ended up on CSI.
I know.
With both of us.
Isn't that
on
crazy?
That show, weirdly, yeah. He was like a teenage detective. It was fun.
Yeah. It was like sort of Private Eye detective, but he was cool. He had spiky hair.
Kind of cool guy.
And he had, didn't he live in like an airplane hanger or something?
One of those
like the Mojave Desert. Yeah,
He had a really cool Australian girlfriend. Cool
dad. He had a cool Australian girlfriend.
Or roommate. Maybe they weren't even dating.
Maybe not.
But another thing about doing a pilot, that one was not, they didn't have a B story.
Oh, really?
So that they didn't have to spend as much money.
For those of us who don't know, what does that even mean?
Like most episodic shows have an A story, which is your main thing. And then there's always like a side thing.
Yeah.
That's
peripheral.
Whether it's somebody
supporting character,
home life thing that a character might have to deal with.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But what they did for a while was they wouldn't shoot that story. They would just shoot the A story as the presentation.
Yeah.
So they were called that, not even a pilot. It was
right.
A presentation. And then if they liked it, you'd shoot the B story, and then you'd have your first episode.
Interesting.
So they were only like, instead of, 50 minutes, it was like maybe 35 minutes.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So they would like wait to kind of complete the
if they
thing.
Picked it up. And so to me, it was like, well, I mean, you might as well shoot the whole thing, because if nothing, you could just run it in the summer, which they would sometimes do with pilots, just as a thing.
Yeah. And who knows? So maybe
just
sometimes
burn it over the summer. Yeah. At least get some.
What network was it going to be at? Just on MTV? That was the idea.
Paramount and MTV were the co-producers.
Right. Because Paramount,
I think it was ABC.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
Crazy. And Ken Senzel was a ex-cop himself,
right? Ex-New York Transit police.
Crazy.
Really cool guy. He had a long career, still working.
Yeah.
We crossed paths a few years ago. I saw him, said hello.
That's cool.
Something else.
Yeah.
It was a drag because
that show was cool, right?
I know.
I mean, like
in retrospect, if it had been a hit and I stayed on it, I wouldn't have done CSI.
It's like the chicken and egg conversation.
My directing break. So
yeah,
you can't wish for something. But it was one of those shows that I would like to have been able to stay on.
Eric Prezant was your assistant editor on that, who I remember quite fondly, and who, if he's listening,
he's a Cowboys fan.
Overdue for a lunch and maybe a pod visit.
Well, we talked to him about it.
He was the coolest, and I just remember that era being like, because Eric was into Radiohead, and kind of you would put me on to Radiohead, but then we would like talk about it.
Thank you for giving me some credit.
Of course you did. I remember when you played OK Computer for me; it was life changing. But that soundtrack and just in general the vibe of that office, because I remember coming to work with you a few times, and it was really cool, just because it felt like. The show was designed as sort of teenage renegade. Like they're trying to go for a younger demographic. Just
finished school because we would have shot it over the.
I think I just got something in my eye.
What?
Oh, fuck.
I've been meaning to look it up.
Let's talk about some other pilots you worked on. So there was obviously Dodges City, which was a great one. The soundtrack slapped.
It did.
Me, Colin, and Claire still talk about it to this day.
We could do a song list on our notes.
We really could.
I have
because I'm trying to remember.
Disc.
It's like it was Offspring. All I can remember is Offspring and Low Fidelity All Stars.
Yeah. There were a bunch of other ones.
Which again is a band that I think kind of went nowhere, but they were cool because they kind of had like this like gritty, grimy.
Yeah,
they're from Blighty.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck
what
you,
did you call
man.
it? Bloke rock.
Bloke rock. But it kind of like Manchester sound Happy Mondays a little bit.
Yeah. And what's that one that I
Yeah.
heard that I played for you the other day that's like, never in a million fucking years and I think I'd see your fucking face again.
Oh.
I forget what that band is. That was, sorry for all the
yeah.
profanity, but it's a relatively new song.
And I was thinking about World Destruction that I just recently was listening to. And I had not
that, what goes around comes.
Yeah.
It's about time for that stuff to be cycling back.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good soundtrack. I did another one that I really liked called Rocky Times.
I remember that with Breckenmeyer.
Who was Sarah Silverman.
Sarah Silverman.
She was a kid in that.
That
so
one.
was Brecken.
Hold on, let me see if I can remember. And I'm not doing this to flex on my memory skills. It's just because I was so impressionable and young and remember being in and around the cutting room when you were working on these things. Rocky Times was Breckenmeyer, Sarah Silverman, as you have recalled. It was about a big city hotshot reporter who goes back to his small town and ends up working for a local paper there.
Close,
right?
Close.
Something like that?
Yeah, it's Breckenmeyer works at a newspaper. He's not a big shot. His girlfriend decides to move to Boulder, or to not Boulder, somewhere in Colorado.
Yeah.
Rocky, Colorado.
Yeah.
And then he follows her.
Yeah.
She doesn't ask him to go, but he follows her because she's
already with another guy.
And he decides he's going to try to get a job at the local
Rocky
newspaper,
Times.
which I believe he does.
Yeah.
To try to win her back.
I love that.
That was the plot.
And I remember
But
one of the needle drops was Vertical Horizon. She's everything you want. She's everything you
wonder if
need.
I have that
She's everything inside of you that you could never see. She says
don't
all
go
the
past it.
right
Too long,
things.
we have to pay royalties.
That you all the right time. But she doesn't even know you and you don't know why.
That's
I remember that. It's like a scene of him driving up through the pines.
yeah. When he's
Did they shoot it in Big Bear, you think?
Probably Canada, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They were all Dodge City was Canada.
Vertical Horizon.
Yeah, Rocky Times, and that was the one that I was just finishing. I was still on it when I got the call to come and do the CSI pilot, and I almost said no because I was burned out. We just worked like 5 weeks straight
On Rocky Times. So that segued right into...
we were mixing, and I got a call about CSI. So.
Breckenmeyer, who went on to be in Rat Race and was one of
Very
the
funny guy.
du jour members in Josie and the Pussycats.
Josie and the Pussycats.
It's Wiggity Whack Wyatt.
Hey, that movie is...
We've been talking about getting Harry Alfon on because we have a
love
story about one of the co-writers of Josie and the Pussycats, which I don't know if I've said on the pod, but we can take a quick detour here because when I was like 14, maybe younger...
I think you're even younger.
Definitely younger because it came out 2001.
Okay.
So I was like 11, 12. We had gone to lunch at the Grove or something as a family, and we saw Harry Elfont, who was the co-writer, co-director of Josie and the Pussycats, and not anybody that you would recognize. No shade to Harry Elfont, but he's not like the type of person. He's not a household
who
name.
Recognizes directors mostly anyway.
I,
at a
at
restaurant.
11, well, I'll tell you who recognized him.
You did.
Me, at 12 years old, had been watching the special features of Josie and the Pussycats, and I was like, clocked him. And I was like, that's Harry Elfont. He's the co-writer, co-director of Josie.
Which, as a family, we all love.
And we were going through a Josie craze at that time because we loved the album, and Claire loved it. She wanted to be, one of the Pussycats, and Colin and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And so
it's a very subversive film.
It is way ahead of its time. We could do a whole episode about it with Claire. But I was not confident enough to go approach him. So I sent Claire and Colin over to go say something to his table. And lo and behold, I followed. He called me over and he's like, who put you up to this? Did my sister put you up to this? This is bullshit. Like, did you guys actually come recognize me? I'm like, yeah, I've, seen your movie like a dozen times. And so he was so touched by it that he actually sent us a signed poster.
He goes, I'll send you a poster.
Of Josie and the Pussycats.
He did.
He did. And we still talk about that, as a family. It's like something
I'm sure that meant a lot to. I know
it meant a lot to us.
Somebody recognized me.
I thought it was really cool. I was like, he was the nicest guy. So
that was a good movie.
It was a really good movie. Where was I going with that, though? It was something in regards to sort of
soundtracks. No
soundtracks, maybe
because that was all original music that they wrote for the. Oh, Breckenmeyer
du jour. That's the connection. Yeah. Breckenmeyer was in Rocky Times. Breckenmeyer was also in the sort of frame bookends for Josie and the Pussycats. I won't spoil it for you if you haven't seen it. But
there's
he's
like
funny.
a boy band in that movie.
Oh my god, and the music's so good.
It's really well done. The music was really good.
But there's also maybe ancillary, or sorry, corollary to the conversation about pilot TV episodes. There is a conversation to be had about people that were starring in pilots. Well,
George Clooney's nickname used to be Pilot Killer.
Yeah, okay.
Because he was in so many pilots that didn't get picked up.
Right.
Not his fault, but that became...
Or even an actor...
It follows you around.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Just like sort of doing the grind of like being
Somebody
in these
knew
things. And,
what they had, and they kept trying to put them in the right thing.
Can you imagine? It's just a matter of... It's a matter of degrees, not category, with regards to acting. Unless you're just like a once-in-a-generation talent who blows everyone out of the water. But like... It is a real testament to the work that's done and some of the sort of chance opportunities that come out there. Because ER was obviously a runaway hit, but
by then he'd been in a bunch. But
they called him the Pilot Killer.
Well, that was I think people probably worked on pilots.
Oh, like if he came. Like if he came into the commissary and there were two guys across the room going, "There's the Pilot Killer."
I worked on a pilot. That guy was in it.
They go, "Yeah, that guy kills pilots." Hey, that guy kills pilots for a living.
Don't want to say that too.
What do you do? Anyway, we're getting off topic. But I was going to say, corollary to the whole pilot TV convo is the fact that there's, the graveyard of Hollywood and TV history is littered with people that were just there. Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
an inch away from being.
I was this close to getting cast in a new series.
Were you a pilot killer?
I might. Well, no, I didn't get the part, so I didn't kill it.
You didn't even.
No.
Get a chance. You didn't even get to sharpen the knife.
It was between me and one other person, though.
Oh, what was it?
It was called Ann Apple Pie, which is a hard...
An apple pie.
And apple pie.
A rural juror.
Yeah, it was like that. It was a Norman Lear comedy. And yeah, I know. It was right before I went off to college.
Norman Lear, All in the Family? Norman Lear?
Yeah.
Wow.
Right before I went off to college. So.
And you were going to be what, like the son in it?
Yeah, it was between me being one of the guys. I did a cast reading with one.
Wow.
It was like one version of the cast. The one that didn't get picked up, that didn't get hired. But,
the alts.
So you never know. What if that? Yeah. Well, it didn't last. It only went one season. So
it's like when you hear some of the alt casting choices for Star Wars, where it was like Christopher Walken doing chemistry reads with like, I don't know who else they had in there for Leia, but it's just funny to think of like the alternate universe version of Star Wars.
Well, but they were also sharing casting with Coppola, right? Because he was casting something else, and so they were reading all the same people.
Yeah, they were. They were kind of sharing, which is funny, and that's why Harrison Ford kind of got to where he is because he was just sort of in the room and.
Well, he'd been in American Graffiti,
but I mean specifically cast in that.
Yeah, he was.
Because he was not on George's list, which is funny to me because obviously he is like a no-brainer. But
that's a fun thing to do too. I did that. I was in a stage manager for a while, and I was actually in equity working at what's now the Geffen. This is back when I was in high school and right after I dropped out of college. And I was working at the theater, and they needed somebody to read with actors, and I had a equity card, so I said I'll do it. So I just read with all these different people that came in to audition for the play. It was really fun.
Yeah, kind of like
no pressure.
Yeah, you're just there to kind of read opposite, like just to turn the page.
It was about a minor league baseball team, and I was kind of just too young, maybe.
Yeah. So were you doing some character work?
I had fun. I got beat up though by a lot of like method actors because one of the scenes was like where they get into an argument and this guy, like guys were slamming me against the wall.
No.
And the writer and the director were so funny after they beat done with their audition. They go, "You okay?" And they're like, "Yeah, I'm okay." So
method actors. Intense. I can't stand them. No, that's from Singing in the Rain. What?
Singing in the Rain. I calmed him.
So of the pilots you worked on though,
those two, I mean, I worked on a few too as just as an AE too.
Right.
My last assistant job was where I was had already been hired to cut the next season, but I worked with two of my friends, John Heath, who we've had on, and Jonathan Pontel, and me. I actually cut after I was done doing dailies, but that was a backdoor pilot. It was a little 2-hour movie of the week that was about a foreign correspondent in Spain.
I remember John mentioning this,
and it aired, but it didn't get picked up as a series.
Well, how would you? Is that the one you're talking about with the slates in Spain?
Yeah, the first day's dailies, it was just stuff in a car, and I went, "Oh, this will be easy." I'll be done sinking dailies and whatever. And then I realized I couldn't understand anybody. They weren't slating, and I
really
had to hand sync everything because they were free driving. They were really in a car.
Oh, right. Well, it's hard when you're in a car too. So no shade.
My first experience with foreign crews.
Hey, don't knock foreign crews, man.
This one wasn't very good.
They're more dialed in than American crews.
No, they aren't.
What?
I'm biased. The crews here in Hollywood are amazing.
Yeah, but I think the crews in Japan might have something to say to you too, bud.
I never
crews in
worked with
Germany.
People in Japan.
They're apparently on top of shit. I know that when what's his name, Abbas Kiarostami, the Iranian director, he was like dying or about to die and like made his like last film there. I don't know if he was aware he was terminally ill, but he did his last film in Japan. It's called Like Someone in Love. And he said that was the best crew he's ever worked with, ever.
Really?
And he's done stuff in the UK, and I believe it. But anyway, I'm just saying that, yes, we got it dialed in here, but let's, give some props to the people, to the other.
Well, let's put it this way. This was back in the 80s, where there wasn't a lot of production going on overseas other than Canada.
Sure. Yeah. Maybe like that film, The Last.
It was probably just a bunch of people.
What's the one they shot in Portugal with George C. Scott? The Last Bride,
The Last Run?
The Last Run.
Yeah.
That was Portugal. Yeah. Okay, so a couple other pilot episodes I want to get to. Dodge City.
Oh, here's a good story, though. Star Trek.
Was that a pilot?
It was a pilot.
Okay.
And they reshot it.
With entirely new cast?
Not entirely new, but they made a change. They hired Shatner because the other actor actually didn't want to stay on the show. And they ended up using a lot of what they shot for the original pilot a couple of episodes into season 1 where it was a trial. And so they were able to use a lot of that. But Lucille Ball is responsible for that show getting on the air because they said, we're kind of interested, but I don't think this is quite what we want. And they were going to pass. And she said, well, we'll remake the pilot. And out of pocket for Desi Liu.
I remember this story. Yeah.
And boy, she made the right move because in syndication, even though the show didn't run for very long in first run, it's still running.
Crazy. Oh yeah. I mean,
very smart.
It's a.
But all you Trekkies out there, thank you to Lucy.
They know.
They probably do know.
They know. They know about Star Trek. So pilot episodes, really, I just think they should make a channel where it's all unaired pilots.
Well, before we finish here, what did you learn about the preview house when you dug down?
Nothing more than what you'd already kind of told me, which is that it was like for decades, basically a venue where they would market test different shows. Yeah. And they operated independent in that like they were sort of a marketing focus group company, and like any studio or network could like contract with them to run these screenings where they would have people that were like acted as docents to bring people in and pass out the cards to invite people in, and then they'd have people do surveys after and conduct like talk back things of like,
I wonder too if some of that data back then, even if they may have already greenlit a show, maybe they're trying to figure out who to focus their
what's the demographic
on, like
that too, exactly.
What companies to go after.
Wait, but I wanted to get back briefly before we bring this in for a landing because I know we're closing in on an hour.
Sort of our soft length, which is smart.
It is. Nielsen ratings, because that obviously evolved from what you described as just a actual physical diary that people were writing into like boxes that were like attached to your cable box.
Look up what year. I mean, we could pause even if we have to. Look up what year the Nielsen's started.
Nielsen TV ratings have been produced in the United States since the 1950 to 1951 television season.
Wow.
Statistically measuring which programs are watched by segments of the American population. The most well-known portion is the diary.
Right.
During the 4 sweep months of February, May, July, and November, Nielsen interviewers in Florida and Kentucky ask homes to fill out a 1-week diary of the programs watched in their household. So they still do this?
I guess so.
The Nielsen sample, this was back in the day. Or maybe they still do it. Anyway,
they're still around.
It's a deep stub.
I think now it's probably there's probably something you attach to your TV, and it just.
I was going to say it feels like,
but you have to agree to. You have to agree to do it, and also that part of the deal was like you had to sign a thing that you watched the shows you said you watched.
Right.
They were worried about
diary.
Somebody, trying to stack the deck.
Yeah. Oh, I really watched a lot of this new one called ER.
Well, Well, but think about it. If it's all based on statistics, one person's thing represents to them thousands of people.
So it has a weighted value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way they
sort
were
of like
doing
how
the
our
numbers.
House of Representatives works. Huh?
Yeah. Works. Doesn't work?
Should work. Yeah, that's a crazy thing because, it does, I don't know, speaks also to sort of the way things were just way more, they're less transparent now, seemingly. I just remember, the ratings used to be up there like box office earnings for, CSI, First of the Week.
That kind of started right around. You think about, the era of live TV.
Yeah.
Those prestige live TV shows had one spot. It would be like the Colgate Comedy Hour or
Right.
Philco Playhouse.
Yeah.
And that was it. And they would just do a thing, usually at the beginning.
Yeah, very subtle.
Yeah.
Now you get an ad.
Well,
if you're on ad-supported
four
stuff.
acts, the average TV show's a 4-act
Although
structure.
This is maybe in the weeds, but a funny thing we noticed watching Rockford Files or any old series, really, especially on Peacock. But they'll take old shows like Rockford Files or Columbo, and if you're on an ad-free subscription, like a premium one where you don't have any commercial interruptions, they'll still break up the show sometimes.
Well, it goes to because they were
no, but I mean, exactly. They were made that way for the ad breaks, circa 1974. Yeah. But it's funny because if you're watching them with ads on Peacock, they'll put it in at not those.
And then we were watching,
and then the breaks will come, and you're like, put it there.
I know. Why did they just put the ad there?
I know.
They must just feed it.
It's an automatic. Yeah. It must just be.
At this point, it has to have an ad, even if they're in the middle of a word.
It's running. Because sometimes it'll cut out in the middle, like it's about to flash frame to another scene, and then it'll go to a Clorox ad, and you're like, what?
Well, the one we watched with you the other day did that, and
multiple times.
A minute later, it went to black, and we went, well, that was the act.
Yeah,
out.
that was
comes back up.
That you could have put it there.
Yeah,
because they built it that way back in the day.
At least put when you do put them in.
They're like anybody who's watching this, they don't give a fuck anyway. So
I guess.
But we do. We care. We notice, and we need them put in the correct spots.
And we want ads because they pay for the shows.
Yeah, and I want to go back to that model of one advertiser supporting. Like the Goodyear Playhouse, the Philco Playhouse. Why can't we have
Apple
that?
TV? I mean, isn't that what it is? It's Apple.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I got really mad. I think maybe it's time for me to bring this up. I got really mad, Al, and I think you know about this, my history here, but Apple debuted a new sort of audio-visual tag at the front of everything. It's like an Apple TV Plus.
I like it. You don't like it?
I hate it. And do you know why?
No.
Because Phineas, whatever the fuck his last name is, composed the fucking thing. He made the song.
Danny has an issue with this guy for some reason.
I got beef. I got major beef with Phineas.
I have no issue whatsoever with him, but I think it's a really cool logo, and it's all man-made. It's handmade.
No, it's not.
It is. There's a whole thing about how they made it. It's all done in camera.
Who?
Just
Phineas?
No, I'm talking about the visuals.
Oh yeah, well that's the visual part. I don't mind. It's more Phineas's audio that I actually get nauseous every time I hear it.
All right, well we'll agree to disagree there.
Anyway, I wanted to air out the fact that there's
that plays
beef.
right into pilots.
It does. Okay.
No,
hey Phineas, fuck you, man. I'm coming for you. You little piece of shit. You are a piece of shit.
I think he's cool. I either don't know something or
really funny to have beef with
somebody
this guy
you don't know,
who is quite honestly not an important person by any means.
I don't know where this is coming from.
I'm sorry. Feel free to redact this in the cut. But
maybe not. I'm going to hang you out to dry. He's going to come after you.
He doesn't listen to this shit, bro.
How do you know?
I don't know. You can come and fucking find me, dude. I got a bone to pick with that guy.
All right. Let's hope my last pod, my camera ran out.
Let's hope it didn't.
To erase the chip.
Maybe it ran out of me, but if my Phineas rant won't be visible.
I'm putting it in there. I'm going to at him. Is that correct? I'm going to at him.
Yeah, sure. Tag him on the post.
All right.
Yeah. Well, pilot TV season coming in for a landing on a big talk about pilot TV shows and my hatred for Phineas. And we are here. We are Timecode Cowboys.
We are.
We will eventually be resetting the clock though for season 2.
So this is either the Abby Singer episode or it's the Martini. So
what a way to
season
round
1.
it out.
But if it is
launching shots,
it's been fun for season 1.
She got out.
Oh, Oh, I hit shoe.
You can turn them off.
Okay. Well, anyway, Cowboys out.
Cowboys out.
Do you want to hit a thing, though?
Woo!